Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, dark forest. The trees stretch endlessly before you, their tangled branches hiding whatever lies within. You don't know if there's treasure or terror waiting inside. Your heart beats faster. You hesitate, and then you turn back. This is the power of the unknown. It paralyzes us, holds us back, and keeps us trapped in the familiar. But what if I told you that everything you desire, the life-changing experiences, the personal breakthroughs, the deepest truths, are waiting for you beyond that line of fear? What if avoiding the unknown is the very thing preventing you from becoming who you're meant to be? For centuries, humans have feared what they cannot see, what they cannot explain. From the ancient myths warning us of the monsters lurking beyond the village, to modern anxieties that keep us from taking risks, our fear of the unknown has shaped the course of history. It influences our decisions, our relationships, and even our sense of identity. But here's the truth. Fear isn't the enemy. The unknown isn't here to destroy you. It's here to transform you. And in today's video, we're going to explore why we fear what we don't understand, and how embracing it can change your life forever. Fear of the unknown isn't just an emotional reaction, it's deeply embedded in our biology. From an evolutionary perspective, early humans who feared the unfamiliar were more likely to survive. The rustling in the bushes could be a harmless breeze, or it could be a predator waiting to strike. Those who hesitated, those who feared what they couldn't see, were the ones who lived long enough to pass on their genes. Over thousands of years, this instinct became hardwired into us. Even today, in a world where we no longer have to worry about being hunted by wild animals, our minds still react with the same primal terror when faced with uncertainty. A new job, a major life decision, or even stepping into an unfamiliar social situation can trigger the same fight-or-flight response that our ancestors felt in the wilderness. While evolution explains our initial fear of the unknown, psychology shows us why it persists even when there is no immediate threat. The human brain craves control and predictability. We construct routines, belief systems, and mental models to make sense of the world around us. But the unknown disrupts these structures. When we can't predict an outcome, our brains enter a state of heightened alert, filling in the gaps with worst-case scenarios. This is why people fear the dark, not because darkness itself is harmful, but because our minds project terrifying possibilities onto the void. The unknown is a blank canvas, and our brains instinctively paint it with our deepest fears. Beyond biology and psychology, society plays a massive role in reinforcing our fear of uncertainty. From a young age, we are conditioned to seek security and avoid risk. We are taught to follow predefined paths, get an education, find a stable job, settle down, because stepping outside these boundaries is seen as dangerous or irresponsible. Institutions, whether religious, political, or corporate, thrive on our need for certainty. They provide answers, rules, and systems to give us a sense of stability. But in doing so, they also teach us to fear anything that lies outside of their established framework. We become trapped in a cycle where the fear of the unknown isn't just natural, it's deliberately cultivated. So what happens when we let this fear control us? We stay in jobs we hate because we fear what might happen if we quit. We avoid pursuing passions or relationships because the outcome is uncertain. We choose comfort over challenge, familiarity over growth. But here's the paradox. Everything we truly want lies on the other side of the unknown. Every great invention, every major personal transformation, every moment of profound discovery has come from someone stepping into uncertainty. Fear of the unknown may be a survival mechanism, but in today's world it often does the opposite. It keeps us from truly living. Carl Jung, one of the most influential figures in psychology, introduced the concept of the shadow, the hidden, repressed parts of ourselves that we refuse to acknowledge. According to Jung, every person carries a shadow composed of thoughts, desires, and instincts that society deems unacceptable. The more we suppress these aspects, the more they manifest in unconscious ways, through anxiety, projection onto others, or irrational fears. But what does this have to do with our fear of the unknown? Simple. The external unknown mirrors the internal unknown. The parts of ourselves we reject and refuse to explore create an internal discomfort, which then extends to anything unfamiliar in the outside world. We fear the unknown not just because it is foreign, but because it threatens to reveal parts of ourselves that we have buried. One of the most fascinating aspects of the shadow is how it influences our perception of the world. Jung argued that when people refuse to confront their own hidden fears and desires, they project them onto external things. This is why people often demonize others who embody traits they secretly suppress within themselves. For example, someone who represses their own rebellious nature may find themselves irrationally hostile toward rule breakers. The same principle applies to our fear of the unknown. What we refuse to understand within ourselves, we also refuse to face in the world. This is why encountering an unfamiliar idea, culture, or way of thinking can feel threatening. It's not just the external unknown that scares us, it's the possibility that it might reveal something unknown within us. Our identities are built on the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and how the world works. But what happens when we encounter something that contradicts those stories? Discomfort, cognitive dissonance, fear. Instead of questioning and evolving, many people react defensively, doubling down on familiar beliefs to protect their sense of self. This is why people often resist change, even when it's beneficial. It's also why certain topics, ideas, or perspectives are immediately dismissed as wrong or dangerous without deeper examination. The unknown threatens identity, and identity is one of the strongest psychological anchors we have. To embrace the unknown, we must be willing to question the very foundation of who we think we are. So, how do we stop fearing the unknown? Jung's answer was simple but difficult: integrate the shadow. This means facing the parts of ourselves we've buried and making peace with them. It requires self-reflection, discomfort, and a willingness to explore what we usually avoid. Once we do this, the external unknown becomes less terrifying. Instead of seeing uncertainty as a threat, we start seeing it as an opportunity, a chance to grow, expand, and discover new parts of ourselves. True courage isn't about eliminating fear. It's about acknowledging it, understanding it, and walking forward anyway. And that's the first step toward transforming the unknown from something we fear into something we embrace. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to fear the unknown. Society, education, and even our families teach us explicitly or subtly that the unfamiliar is dangerous. This begins with small things: being warned as children not to talk to strangers, being taught to follow strict rules without question, or being discouraged from exploring unconventional ideas. The message is clear: stay within the boundaries, and you will be safe. As we grow older, this conditioning intensifies. Schools emphasize memorization over curiosity, reinforcing the idea that there are right and wrong answers rather than unexplored possibilities. Meanwhile, mainstream media and advertising push conformity, making anything outside of the norm seem risky or undesirable. This societal structure molds individuals into people who prefer predictability over mystery and who avoid uncertainty rather than embracing it. One of the strongest psychological traps that society reinforces is the illusion that familiarity equals safety. We are trained to stick to routines, follow traditions, and avoid things that challenge our perspectives. But is familiarity truly safe, or is it just comfortable? This illusion is particularly dangerous because it stops people from growing. Many individuals stay in jobs they hate, maintain toxic relationships, or refuse to explore new experiences simply because the alternative, stepping into the unknown, feels scarier than staying stuck. Governments, corporations, and institutions benefit from this psychological state because it makes people predictable, obedient, and easy to manage. The fear of the unknown keeps people in line, ensuring that they don't question authority or disrupt the status quo. As a result, the unfamiliar is not just avoided, it is actively demonized, making change and transformation feel nearly impossible. Different cultures reinforce the fear of the unknown in various ways, but the core message is the same. Deviation from the norm is suspicious. In some societies, questioning religious doctrines is taboo. In others, challenging political narratives leads to social exile. Even in personal interactions, there is often pressure to conform. People who hold unconventional beliefs or take unexpected life paths are often met with resistance, skepticism, or even ridicule. This creates a powerful psychological barrier. When we see others being punished for embracing the unknown, we instinctively avoid it ourselves. Instead of exploring new possibilities, we learn to fear them, instinctively sticking to what is acceptable or normal. This reinforces a cycle where the unknown remains unchallenged, and innovation, self-discovery, and true freedom become increasingly rare. The first step to overcoming societal conditioning is recognizing it. Once we become aware of how deeply ingrained this fear of the unknown is, we can begin to challenge it. This means questioning the narratives we've been given, exposing ourselves to unfamiliar perspectives, and learning to tolerate uncertainty instead of running from it. It also means actively seeking discomfort, choosing to step outside of the familiar, embracing situations where we don't have all the answers, and training ourselves to see the unknown not as a threat, but as an opportunity. True freedom is not found in the illusion of security, but in the ability to move through the world with curiosity and courage. By unlearning the fear of the unknown, we open ourselves to infinite possibilities, ones that society has spent years convincing us were never meant for us to explore. Fear is one of the most primal human emotions, deeply wired into our biology as a survival mechanism. But fear is not just personal, it is collective. Across all cultures and throughout history, humans have shared common symbols of fear, passed down through myths, religions, and folklore. These archetypes of fear tap into something universal, something deeper than logic or personal experience. The dark forest, the deep ocean, the vast unknown, these images have always represented danger in our collective psyche. Even in a modern world, where many of these physical threats have been neutralized, these fears persist. We still feel unease. In the darkness, we still fear what lies beneath the surface, and we are still haunted by the unknown. But why do these ancient symbols continue to influence our minds? The answer lies in the concept of archetypes, universal psychological patterns described by Carl Jung, which shape our unconscious fears. Jungian psychology explains that the unknown is often represented by what he called the shadow, the part of our psyche that contains everything we deny, repress, or refuse to acknowledge. Cultures throughout history have given symbolic form to the shadow through terrifying figures. Demons, dragons, ghosts, and monsters lurking just beyond the edges of what is known. In myths and fairy tales, these creatures often guard something valuable, treasure, wisdom, or a sacred truth, symbolizing that our fears hide something essential to our personal growth. Today, these archetypes still play out in modern media. Horror movies, fantasy stories, and even dystopian fiction are filled with creatures that represent the fear of the unknown. The monsters we fear may have changed names, but their psychological function remains the same. They reflect the parts of ourselves and our world that we struggle to face. While the core symbols of fear are universal, each culture expresses them differently. In Western traditions, the unknown is often associated with external threats, mysterious strangers, haunted houses, or supernatural forces beyond human control. In contrast, Eastern philosophies often frame fear as something internal, a battle within the self, a struggle to overcome one's illusions and attachments. Indigenous cultures frequently portray the unknown as something sacred rather than sinister, a realm of spirits and ancestors rather than demons and destruction. These differences reveal something crucial. Fear is not just biological, it is also socially constructed. What we fear and how we interpret the unknown depends on the stories we are told. This is why understanding archetypes is so powerful. Once we recognize the myths shaping our fears, we can begin to rewrite them. If myths and symbols have trained us to fear the unknown, they can also help us embrace it. The same stories that warn of danger also contain lessons on transformation. In hero myths, the protagonist must always enter the unknown, venturing into the cave, crossing the forbidden threshold, or confronting the dragon to emerge stronger and wiser. This pattern reflects something deeply true about the human experience. Growth is only possible when we face what we fear. Rather than rejecting fear or seeing the unknown as something to be avoided, we can learn to approach it with curiosity. When we understand that the monsters in our stories and in our minds are just reflections of our own potential, we stop running from them. Instead, we step forward ready to uncover the wisdom hidden in the shadows. Every night, we enter a world where logic dissolves, time bends, and reality reshapes itself. Dreams have fascinated humans for millennia, often being seen as messages from the gods, glimpses into the future, or portals to other dimensions. But beyond myths and superstitions, dreams serve a crucial psychological purpose. They help us navigate the unknown. The unconscious mind processes vast amounts of information that never reach our waking awareness, and dreams are one way this hidden knowledge surfaces. They contain symbols, emotions, and scenarios that seem bizarre at first glance, but often carry deep insights. When we dream, we confront aspects of ourselves that we may not fully understand while awake. This makes dreams one of the most direct ways our subconscious prepares us for uncertainty, forcing us to engage with ideas, fears, and possibilities outside our conscious control. Carl Jung believed that dreams were a bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind, filled with archetypal symbols that carry profound meaning. Often the unknown appears in dreams as dark figures, vast landscapes, or unfamiliar places, a faceless stranger, a never-ending staircase, or a door that leads into darkness. These images frequently represent our fear of what we do not understand. But rather than being nightmares meant to scare us, these dreams act as psychological warnings. They highlight unresolved fears, hidden anxieties, and suppressed emotions, urging us to confront them. The monsters in our dreams, much like those in myths, are not enemies but guides. They push us toward self-discovery by forcing us to engage with the mysteries of our own psyche. By analyzing these symbols, we can gain insight into our relationship with fear and the unknown, turning what once seemed terrifying into a source of inner wisdom. One of the most fascinating aspects of dreams is their ability to mirror our struggles with uncertainty. Many of the most common dream themes, falling, being chased, losing one's way, reflect anxieties about things beyond our control. When we are on the verge of a major life change, our dreams may become more vivid or intense, filled with unfamiliar faces, strange landscapes, or situations that defy logic. This is because the unconscious mind is attempting to process the unknown before we consciously face it. In this way, dreams act as simulations, allowing us to mentally rehearse how to deal with fear, transition, and transformation. Jung argued that ignoring dreams was like ignoring half of our own mind. When we take them seriously, we gain access to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the hidden forces shaping our decisions. If dreams are trying to prepare us for the unknown, then learning how to interpret them can be a powerful tool for personal growth. Instead of dismissing strange or unsettling dreams as meaningless, we can ask, what is this dream trying to tell me? What symbols appear, and how do they relate to my waking life? Often, simply acknowledging the emotions present in a dream can reveal hidden fears we were not consciously aware of. Practices like dream journaling, active imagination, or even discussing dreams with others can help uncover patterns and deeper meanings. The key is to approach dreams not as random chaos, but as messages from a wiser part of ourselves. By paying attention to what our subconscious is trying to show us, we can learn to engage with the unknown, not with fear, but with curiosity. After all, if our own minds are constantly preparing us for what lies ahead, perhaps the unknown is not as terrifying as we once thought. At our core, humans crave stability. From an evolutionary perspective, our ancestors survived by recognizing patterns, predicting when seasons would change, where predators might hide, and which plants were safe to eat. This deep-rooted need for certainty extends far beyond survival. It influences how we navigate modern life. We meticulously plan our futures, seek comfort in routines, and create belief systems that promise structure. But beneath this craving for control lies an unsettling truth. Life is inherently unpredictable. Despite our best efforts to plan and prepare unexpected events, illness, job loss, accidents, or global crises, constantly remind us that control is often an illusion. This conflict creates anxiety, pushing us to resist uncertainty at all costs. We build mental barriers, convincing ourselves that if we just try harder, plan more, or seek enough knowledge, we can eliminate the unknown. But in reality, our fear of uncertainty does not make us safer. It only limits our ability to fully experience life. Our brains are wired to seek order even when none exists. Psychological studies have shown that humans tend to overestimate their ability to influence events. This phenomenon, known as the illusion of control, explains why people believe they can influence outcomes that are actually random, such as gamblers thinking they can feel a winning streak, or people believing they can influence luck by performing rituals. This bias serves as a coping mechanism, reducing stress and giving us a sense of agency in an unpredictable world. However, when taken too far, this illusion can make us resistant to change. We may avoid risks, overanalyze situations, or cling to false certainty, even when it no longer serves us. By understanding this mental bias, we can start to recognize when our fear of uncertainty is holding us back. True resilience does not come from trying to control everything, but from learning how to navigate the unknown with confidence. Block 3. Why letting go of control leads to growth. Ironically, the more we try to control life, the more anxious we become. When we refuse to accept uncertainty, we live in a constant state of tension, dreading unforeseen events, over-planning for every scenario, and resisting change. But history shows that those who achieve the most personal growth are not those who avoid uncertainty, but those who embrace it. Think of great innovators, artists, and thinkers. They did not create by following rigid plans, but by exploring the unknown, adapting to failures, and allowing uncertainty to shape their journey. In psychology, this mindset is known as cognitive flexibility, the ability to shift perspectives and adapt to new information. When we let go of the illusion of control, we open ourselves up to greater creativity, deeper relationships, and unexpected opportunities. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to change our relationship with it, to see the unknown not as a threat, but as a doorway to something new. Block 4. How to accept uncertainty. Without fear, if we cannot control everything, how do we live without constant anxiety? The answer lies in radical acceptance, the practice of embracing uncertainty rather than resisting it. This does not mean becoming passive or giving up on goals. Instead, it means acknowledging that while we can influence our actions, we cannot predict every outcome. Simple practices can help shift this mindset. Mindfulness teaches us to stay present rather than worrying about future uncertainties. Stoicism encourages focusing on what we can control, our responses, thoughts, and actions, while accepting what we cannot. Psychological reframing helps us see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities to grow. In the end, freedom comes, not from controlling the unknown, but from making peace with it. Once we stop resisting uncertainty, we begin to see life not as something to be mastered, but as an adventure to be experienced. From an early age, we are conditioned to seek security in the familiar. We are taught to follow rules, stick to routines, and stay within safe boundaries. Society reinforces this fear of the unknown by rewarding predictability and punishing deviation. Schools emphasize memorization over curiosity, workplaces value efficiency over experimentation, and social circles discourage questioning long-held beliefs. This structure gives us a sense of stability, but it also limits our potential. The more we avoid the unknown, the more we become trapped in a rigid, repetitive existence. The irony is that everything we truly desire, growth, meaning, adventure, exists outside of what we already know. If we want to discover who we really are, we must be willing to step beyond the limits imposed by comfort and face the uncertainty we've been avoiding. In psychology, the concept of optimal anxiety explains why stepping outside of our comfort zones leads to growth. When we expose ourselves to challenges that feel slightly beyond our abilities, we activate a state of heightened focus and learning. This is why personal breakthroughs often happen in moments of uncertainty, moving to a new city, starting a new career, or taking on an unfamiliar challenge. The unknown forces us to develop new skills, expand our perspectives, and redefine our identity. Carl Jung described this process as individuation, the journey of integrating different aspects of ourselves to become whole. By facing the unknown, we discover hidden strengths, unlock creativity, and develop resilience. Every time we confront uncertainty, we rewrite our own story, proving to ourselves that we are more capable than we once believed. Despite its benefits, many people resist the unknown due to deep-seated psychological fears. The fear of failure makes us afraid to take risks, even when the cost of inaction is higher than the cost of trying. The fear of rejection keeps us trapped in people-pleasing behaviors, avoiding paths that might make us stand out. The fear of losing control convinces us that if we cannot predict the outcome, it is better not to act at all. These fears are reinforced by social conditioning and past experiences, but they do not reflect reality. The truth is that uncertainty is not inherently dangerous, it is simply unfamiliar. Those who learn to embrace uncertainty realize that failure is a teacher, rejection is redirection, and loss of control is often the beginning of something greater. If facing the unknown is the key to self-discovery, how do we learn to embrace it? The first step is shifting our mindset from "what if something goes wrong" to "what if something amazing happens?" Instead of fearing uncertainty, we can learn to see it as an adventure, an invitation to explore, learn, and grow. Practicing self-inquiry through journaling or deep reflection can help uncover hidden fears and desires. Engaging in small acts of courage, such as trying a new activity, speaking to someone unfamiliar, or changing a routine, can build confidence in navigating uncertainty. Lastly, studying stories of those who thrived in the unknown, from great thinkers to modern entrepreneurs, reminds us that every breakthrough in history was born from stepping into the unfamiliar. True self-discovery does not come from staying safe. It comes from daring to explore the edges of what we know and stepping boldly into what lies beyond. Throughout history, myths and legends have followed a common structure, one that Joseph Campbell identified as the hero's journey. This universal narrative appears in every culture, from the ancient myths of Gilgamesh to modern films like Star Wars and The Matrix. The hero always begins in the ordinary world, a place of familiarity and routine. Then comes the call to adventure, an invitation to step into the unknown. Initially, the hero resists, fearing what lies ahead. But eventually, a mentor appears, a challenge arises, or circumstances force the hero to take the leap. The journey is filled with trials, setbacks, and moments of doubt. However, by facing these obstacles, the hero undergoes profound transformation. The story is not just fiction. It mirrors the psychological process of personal growth. Every person at some point is called to step into the unknown. The question is, will you answer the call? In the hero's journey, there is always a stage called the refusal of the call. This is the moment when the hero hesitates, afraid of what lies beyond their comfort zone. This reflects real life. Most people resist change even when they sense that something greater awaits them. Fear of failure, self-doubt, and attachment to the familiar keep them stuck. Society reinforces this resistance by discouraging risk-taking. We are taught to value security over adventure, routine over exploration. However, those who refuse the call often experience existential stagnation, a feeling of emptiness, boredom, or frustration with life. Ironically, the very thing we fear, stepping into the unknown, is often the key to breaking free from this dissatisfaction. Overcoming this initial resistance is the first step in our own hero's journey. Every hero must face a period of deep struggle and uncertainty, what is often called the dark night of the soul. This is the stage where everything seems to fall apart, and the hero questions whether they made the right choice. In mythology, this might be symbolized by a descent into the underworld or a confrontation with a great beast. In real life, It may come in the form of failures, rejections, or overwhelming doubt. This is where many people turn back, believing that the discomfort of uncertainty is a sign that they should return to the familiar. However, true transformation happens when we push through this phase. The unknown feels threatening because it challenges our identity, forcing us to let go of old beliefs and limitations. But those who persist through the struggle emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable than ever before. In every hero's journey, there is a final stage, the return. The hero comes back from their adventure, forever changed. They bring newfound wisdom, strength, or insight that transforms not only themselves but also those around them. This mirrors real life. When we step into the unknown and overcome challenges, we do not return as the same person. We develop resilience, confidence, and a deeper understanding of ourselves. More importantly, we inspire others to embark on their own journeys. The great irony of fear is that it tricks us into believing that staying in the familiar will keep us safe, when in reality, it keeps us stagnant. Those who embrace the unknown become the authors of their own lives, rather than passive participants. The question remains, will you choose to stay in the comfort of the known, or will you step into the adventure of the unknown and claim your own transformation? Most people believe that comfort equals safety. We build routines, stick to familiar environments, and avoid unnecessary risks because they make us feel secure. But what if this sense of safety is an illusion? The problem with excessive comfort is that it breeds stagnation. The brain is wired for efficiency, which means that if we repeat the same patterns every day, we stop growing. Over time, this creates a mental prison. We mistake familiarity for fulfillment, security for happiness. Psychologists call this learned helplessness, a state where people stop seeking change because they believe discomfort equals danger. But the real danger is the slow decay of our potential. When we avoid the unknown, we deny ourselves the experiences that lead to true transformation. Comfort zones are not just mental states. They are invisible barriers that keep us from becoming who we are meant to be. Fear of the unknown is the biggest reason people stay in their comfort zones. Our minds create worst-case scenarios, convincing us that stepping outside of familiarity will lead to disaster. But when we look at history, the greatest thinkers, innovators, and leaders all had one thing in common. They embraced uncertainty. From scientists who challenged old paradigms to artists who broke conventional rules, every major breakthrough came from stepping into the unknown. The irony is that while the unknown feels risky, staying in the comfort zone is far riskier. It leads to missed opportunities, regret, and a life filled with what-ifs. The people who fearlessly move forward, despite uncertainty, are the ones who achieve fulfillment. They understand that failure is not the end, but an essential part of growth. The unknown is not the enemy. The real enemy is stagnation. Avoiding the unknown comes at a cost, one that we rarely acknowledge. Studies show that people who stay in rigid comfort zones experience higher levels of anxiety and dissatisfaction over time. Why? Because deep down, they know they are avoiding their own potential. When life becomes too predictable, we start feeling empty. The excitement of new experiences fades, and we begin seeking artificial stimulation, social media, binge-watching, or mindless distractions to fill the void. But these are not real solutions. The mind craves challenge, novelty, and purpose. Without them, we fall into existential boredom, a state where nothing truly excites us anymore. Many people assume that stress comes from taking risks, but research suggests the opposite. Lack of challenge and growth leads to emotional distress. Our brains are designed to explore, learn, and adapt. Staying comfortable may feel safe, but it slowly erodes our sense of purpose. So how do we escape the comfort trap? The first step is rewiring how we see fear. Instead of viewing the unknown as a threat, we must see it as an opportunity. Growth happens when we push beyond our perceived limits. One powerful method is exposure therapy, gradually introducing small challenges that build resilience. If public speaking terrifies you, start by speaking in front of a small group. If traveling alone seems overwhelming, Take a short trip to a new city. Each step into the unknown strengthens your ability to handle uncertainty. Another crucial step is reframing failure. The most successful people in the world fail constantly, but they do not see failure as a reflection of their worth. They see it as data. It's simply feedback, showing what works and what doesn't. The unknown will always feel intimidating, but those who embrace it unlock their full potential. The real question is, will you choose growth over comfort? The fear of the unknown is deeply ingrained in human psychology, but what if we could train ourselves to see it differently? The key to embracing the unknown starts with reframing uncertainty as an opportunity rather than a threat. Studies in neuroscience show that our brains are highly adaptable. The more we expose ourselves to uncertainty, the more resilient we become. Instead of viewing the unknown as a dark abyss filled with danger, we can start seeing it as an open door to possibilities. One simple mental shift is replacing the phrase, "What if something goes wrong?" with "What if something amazing happens?" This small change rewires the brain to approach uncertainty with curiosity instead of fear. Another technique is thought substitution. Whenever you feel anxious about the unknown, consciously replace that fear with excitement. Physiologically, anxiety and excitement trigger similar bodily reactions, but our interpretation of them shapes our experience. The unknown is not an enemy. It's an invitation to grow. Many people assume they need to take giant leaps into the unknown, but real transformation happens through small acts of courage. If you fear social situations, start by initiating a short conversation with a stranger. If you dream of a career change but feel paralyzed, begin by researching new fields or taking a small online course. The goal is to build incremental exposure to uncertainty, training your brain to tolerate and even enjoy it. A study on neuroplasticity found that repeated exposure to manageable challenges rewires the brain to become more comfortable with risk. Each small step into the unknown strengthens your confidence and makes bigger challenges seem less intimidating. One powerful exercise is the 30-day discomfort challenge. Each day, do one small thing that makes you uncomfortable, whether it's trying a new food, changing your routine, or asking for something you normally wouldn't. Over time, these small steps build the courage needed to take on life's bigger uncertainties. One of the biggest struggles people face with the unknown is the need for control. We crave certainty because it makes us feel safe, but true freedom comes from letting go. Learning to trust the process means accepting that you don't need to have all the answers right now. This is where the concept of surrendering to uncertainty becomes powerful. Philosophers and spiritual traditions across cultures have emphasized the importance of surrender, not as a sign of weakness, but as a sign of wisdom. It means acknowledging that the journey itself is valuable, even if the destination is unclear. A practical way to cultivate this mindset is through journaling your fears and tracking your progress. Write down something uncertain in your life right now and reflect on it weekly. Over time, you'll notice that many fears never materialize, and even the challenges that do arise often lead to unexpected growth. The unknown is only terrifying when we resist it. Once we lean in, we realize it's where life truly happens. The ultimate goal is not just to tolerate uncertainty, but to make it your ally. The most fulfilled people are not those who avoid uncertainty, but those who actively seek it. They see the unknown as a playground rather than a battlefield. One of the most powerful mindset shifts is understanding that uncertainty is the birthplace of all great things. Creativity, innovation, deep relationships, and personal breakthroughs all come from stepping into the unknown. To solidify this perspective, ask yourself, what is one thing I've always wanted to do but have avoided because of fear? Write it down, commit to taking a small action toward it, and remind yourself that every great achievement starts with a leap into the unknown. By embracing uncertainty, you're not just avoiding stagnation, you're actively shaping a more meaningful and adventurous life. The unknown is not something to be feared. It is the space where your true potential is waiting to be discovered. Fear of the unknown is one of the most primal instincts we possess. From the dawn of humanity, it has kept us safe, ensuring our survival in an unpredictable world. But in modern life, this same fear often becomes a prison, trapping us in routines, limiting our experiences, and preventing us from reaching our full potential. We have explored how society conditions us to avoid uncertainty, how our subconscious mind reflects this fear in dreams, and how myths, archetypes, and personal psychology shape our relationship with the unknown. But now, after breaking down these layers of resistance, one truth remains. The unknown is not our enemy. It is our greatest teacher. Throughout history, those who have changed the world, artists, scientists, thinkers, and pioneers, were not those who avoided uncertainty, but those who embraced it. They stepped into the darkness, trusting that something meaningful awaited them on the other side. And time after time, they were right. The unknown is where all growth, transformation, and discovery happen. It is where you find not only external success, but also the deepest truths about yourself. So the real question is not, should I fear the unknown, but rather, what will I miss out on if I don't embrace it? The safest path is rarely the most fulfilling. Staying in your comfort zone may provide temporary security, but it will never give you the profound satisfaction of truly living. The most exhilarating moments in life, the love stories, the personal victories, the breathtaking experiences, all require a leap into uncertainty. Now, as you move forward, remember this. Every time you feel fear creeping in, ask yourself, is this fear protecting me or is it holding me back? If it's holding you back, that's your signal to move forward. Because beyond the fear, beyond the hesitation, beyond the uncertainty, there is a version of yourself waiting to be discovered. And that version, it's stronger, wiser, and more alive than you ever imagined. The unknown isn't a void, it's an invitation. What will you do with it?